Aloha, y'all. It is Moon Day, Monday, the 21st of March, officially into Aries season. Yesterday when I did this, we were just before it, so I was kind of talking on the cuspish. Being like, oh, it's just about it, and Moon is just about here. We're fully in it now. It's a root chakra day, which I'll get into in a second, but the astrology is as follows. The sun is in 0 degrees, 50 minutes Aries, so like I said, we're up in Aries season now. Moon is at 11 degrees, 51 minutes Scorpio. Mercury's at 19 degrees Pisces. Venus is at 14 degrees Aquarius. Mars is at 11 degrees Aquarius. Jupiter is conjunct Pisces at 11 degrees, 48 minutes in Pisces, like I said. Saturn is in 21 degrees Aquarius. Uranus is at 12 degrees Taurus. Neptune's at 23 degrees Pisces. So conjunct loosely Pisces and Jupiter. Pluto is in Capricorn at 28 degrees. And the North Node is at 23 degrees Taurus. Hopefully y'all are doing well. It's a beautiful morning here, a little humid. I had crazy dreams about signing leases in Hawaii that were just way overpriced. But I digress. So, Muladhara Chakra, the root chakra. This is at the base of your spine. I'm wearing red today. How apropos, I didn't even realize it. Keywords are vitality, courage, and self-confidence. This is what Aries season is all about. And where are we getting that? At the base of our spine, the root. Positive aspects are security, courage, strength of will, and pioneering spirit. Negative aspects are insecurity, self-pity, aggression, and fear. Right? Very much root chakra things. It's at the base of our spine. We say Lam, L-A-M, Lam, in the key of C when you're doing a meditation about this chakra, which I highly suggest. Spiritual activities are noticing the beauty and perfection of the natural world. Essential oils are cinnamon, garlic, and sandalwood. Plant is sage. Metal is lead. Element is earth. The crystals are ruby, bloodstone, and hematite. And the soul lesson is service. All right, so how can you serve without fear, without self-doubt, in a rooted, grounded way? Let's go ahead and get some cards. I guess, the dreams I've been having, I was like, well, it's not Sun in Pisces anymore, but the moon is in Scorpio, which is a watery thing, and then Jupiter, Mercury, and Neptune being conjunct. Doesn't surprise me, dreams are still pretty wretched. So, what wants to pop? We've got the Star card. This is a resonator for me because my birthday is on the 17th, so June 17th. 17 Star card. It's a major arcana. It's an Aquarius energy. Looking for the pamphlet. Here we go. So in the Fool's Journey, and if you didn't know, there's what are called major and minor arcana. Minor arcana are like, 7 of Pentacles, 9 of Swords, that kind of stuff. That's a little different and more detail-oriented to kind of practical day-to-day life, whereas the major arcana are very much part of the Fool's Journey, 0 through 22, or 21, I'm forgetting. Let's just check, shall we? Well, there's the star. 22 cards, so 0 through 21, 22 including 0. It's the Fool's Journey. It's the archetypes of the Tarot. Things like death, the star card, the sun, the moon, things like that. These are big, pivotal, major, hence the name Major Arcana, major archetypal themes that are transpersonal to a degree. They're zeitgeist levels. They do affect you, but it's like a solar eclipse will affect everybody, but, a high tide will only affect people at the beach kind of thing. Major versus minor arcana. Anyway, I digress. The star card, dreaming big. And I was just talking about big dreams with Mercury conjunct Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. Dreaming big is big on the list. Allowing inspiration to guide you, stepping out and enjoying the beauty of the world, sharing your gifts and shining brightly. I beam your light. The star card. The figure is graceful, her arms raised above her head, hands delicately poised, reminiscent of the beautiful sacred dancing that is performed at the temple rituals and cultural dances of Bali. Some Scorpio moon stuff, right? Some magic of the water. Her fingers conduct fine electrical filaments, divine energy, as she stands in waters boasting much aquatic life, Hands reach out to her from the depths below, and her starlight nourishes and raises them out of the sea of overwhelming emotions, which can be potentially the shadow of Jupiter conjunct Neptune and Mercury in Pisces, with the moon in Scorpio. Overwhelming emotions, overwhelming archetypal symbology in the subconscious. The star, a potent symbol of light and transformation, pierces the mask of the ordinary to release the extraordinary. A powerful conduit of the divine radiance, she moves effortlessly between the personal and transpersonal realms, embodying and transmitting larger-than-life energy. Fully cognizant she is a divine vehicle and catalyst for the star energy in others. Aleister Crowley would say this, but it's like, yes, I'm gonna be a star. We're all stars. We're all, at the end of the day, our hearts and our chakras make us light beings and fusion chambers of energy, of toroids of energy, very much like a star. And just like in 2001: A Space Odyssey, we are evolving to Star Child. She lives in the incredible freedom and expansion that the energy offers her and trusts it completely. North Node and Taurus, we can rest assured in that which is. Her presence is felt, charismatic, a great lightning conductor. Working with David Bowie, perceived by so many as the ultimate rock star and consummate performer, I saw someone profoundly interested in the human condition. Very Venus and Mars conjunct in Aquarius. Saturn and Aquarius. It's like, what is this all about? How do humans work? How do we socially function as beings, as mammals on a spinning rock? He shone the light on other people and their talents and gave people a real platform on which to shine. Unconcerned with fame and fortune, ironic that he has a song called Fame. Unconcerned with fame and fortune, I experienced him as an enabler, an intellectual and a generalist who had a finger in every pie, clearly understanding the dynamics of what he asked people to do, open, humble, and always willing to learn. He seemed to have a tremendous thirst for knowledge. Saturn and Aquarius, we want to learn all the things, master all the things. Drawing from fields as diverse as art, philosophy, spirituality, literature, history, and anthropology, with extraordinary focus and discipline to refine and reveal the truth of the work, the value of everything. North Node and Taurus. So often in life we see the star up on the stage, shining their light, forgetting the tremendous focus, determination, self-control, and sacrifice that is required to light up the world for us. Starlight travels through time and space, the emissary of the celestial realm, a pure source of creative flow, igniting inspiration. So the star card, or know that this star card quality is available to you. The extraordinary that lights up the ordinary, exposing the magic that is always available in your life. Moon in Scorpio, right? Lift up the rocks and check out underneath all the mysteries, and you will find that there is an overarching pattern, Saturn and Aquarius, that makes the world this transmutational form for all to play with and transform through, Pluto and Capricorn. And these values are available to everybody. It's not just a general thing. It's for all of us, each one of us, North Node and Taurus. A renewed sense of purpose and creativity suggests that it's time to reveal your hidden talents and shine brightly. Sun and Aries. It's time to get out there and make a show of it. Put your energy into it. Get on your bikes and ride. I always allude to this Freddie Mercury line from Fat Bottom Girls, but it's like, that's action. That's inspiration in action. There is much you can offer that will be greatly received. So the star card, dreaming big, allowing inspiration to guide you, stepping out and enjoying the beauty of the world, sharing your gifts and shining brightly. We can shine. We can really admire the beauty around us in a very grounded way. And when you feel rooted and grounded in your Muladhara chakra, your root chakra, she's got her feet planted. And because she has her feet planted, she's rooted, she could reach up and touch the ethers and have this all kind of channeled through her. So you too can do this. You could be a little Tesla tower, a little Tesla coil of inspiration. There's all sorts of levels. Rising from the creative waters of the womb of Gaia, right? We evolved at some level from like amoebas and plankton and fish and all this shit, climbing onto land. Humans became erect in our spinal columns, and now we're reaching to higher dimensionality. We're experiencing another terrarium of consciousness, essentially, at that level. Let's go ahead and get a clarification card. Hopefully you're all doing well. I'd love to know where you're watching from. I'm always curious about that, as I'm a Sun and Moon Gemini, and we're out here doing it. So I'm in Costa Rica. Where you at? I'm not here forever. Maybe that's why I'm dreaming about Hawaii. I have a plane ticket for Hawaii, but it's not from the right Costa Rica, so now I've got to figure out what I'm doing about all that. We got the Five of Wands as the clarifier. This is a chimera. Talk about Aries energy. It's ready to fight. It's kind of a scary little thing, Moon and Scorpio. Fives are going through the journey, right? Fives usually are conflict-laden things. It doesn't mean bad. It just means kind of like frictional points, you could say. And the Five of Wands basically says, I am alert and sharp to all challenges and conflicts. Very Aries, Sun, Scorpio, Moon energy, right? It's like I'm aware that I'm on the battlefield and I see I'm observant, because Scorpio Moon is very emotionally observant. Saturn and Aquarius, I'm seeing the battlefield for what it is, and Aries, Sun, I'm going out there and taking charge. Competitive nature, that fiery Aries spirit, locked in a battle, martial, right? Mars energy, locked in a battle of wits, keeping a rigid structure, testing your ideas out. I think with the star card, we're little mad scientists, kind of like Crackatus Potts from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and we're not supposed to be meek. He kind of was like, in a weird way, he was very Scorpio Moon and almost Cancerian, right? Where it's just like, oh, I'm going to go hide in my workshop. If you've seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, props. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, watch Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. It's a classic. But the father, played by Dick Van Dyke, is Crackatus Potts, is like play on name. It's like eccentric, right? The very Aquarius star card energy. And he's in the garage or whatever, hidden away, Moon and Scorpio, tinkering on his ingenious ideas, Saturn and Aquarius, Venus conjunct Mars and Aquarius, trying to make his and his family's life a little better through invention. And he's got all these inventions, cracking eggs and cooking up breakfast and all sorts of weird shit. But this flying car is his major dream. And then one day he comes out and shows people what he's really got. He busts out of the barn doors and, chitty chitty bang bang, right? Chitty chitty bang bang's up in there. So we have this Saturn eccentric quality, very Tesla coil, Nikola Tesla energy coming through. Whenever I give readings and tell people about astrology, I'm like, Aquarius 11th house, which is where my sun and moon are, is very genius. It's very Nikola Tesla. So we have this Tesla kind of eccentricity, this pushing of the edge. I covered up the sun, but it's still creeping through, so that's kind of cool. And we're showing people what we've got with this Mars energy, with the Sun and Aries now, a Scorpio Moon. Scorpio is still ruled by Mars, and Pluto is co-ruled. Originally, it was just Mars before we knew about Pluto, right? We want to show people what we're made of and kind of put our individuality to the test. So we're probably feeling that very much right now. And you're like, what am I capable of? It's almost like in Gladiator, right? He's like, I know I'm a general. I got the shit beat out of me in a war, and I got stabbed, and I had to have this dude and put salt or worms in it or maggots or whatever. And now I'm waking up and I'm like, all right, I can do this. And they go into the gladiatorial thing. You see all the amateurs getting slain really quick. And Maximus, right? I think he goes by his name Maximus. Very Aries. Where he's like, I'm the biggest, I'm the best. He goes out there and he performs his due diligence as a warrior, right? He shines as an individual. Maximus, Spaniard. That's what they were saying, Spaniard, because they thought he was from Spain, but he's really an Italian, whatever. So we have the ability to sharpen our blades and parry with others, right? With the Five of Wands as the clarifier. But what are we parrying? Our individuality. We're parrying our uniqueness, our genius. So, and the best way to do that is to come from a rooted place, right? Root chakra. Let me see if I can affect this in any way. Whoa. I brought this acoustic guitar down. I'm starting to record songs and stuff. I don't think I'll be performing any today, but root chakra, right? So we have it's cool, at least on Instagram, they're like seeing these rays of light, very majestic looking. So if we're grounded, if we're rooted, we're able to actually join the battle. Like, right? Half the reason the people in the gladiatorial fights were dying quickly is because he's like, everyone circle up. He started using his head in an individual way, and leadership qualities of the group, very Saturn and Aquarius, Mars, Venus conjuncted Aquarius, and he's like, this is how we have to be warriors. Each of us are individuals with our own weapons fighting for our own lives, but we can do this together, and it can be a little fun even, potentially. It doesn't have to be horrible, horrifying, crazy. I'm not particularly glorifying the gladiatorial events. Obviously, it was a very macabre practice. Before they had video games and football and all sorts of outlets that are a little less deadly, they killed people for fun. How interesting, right? What a dark time. So let's go ahead and get an animal clarifier and see what wants to pop. We've got the sea otter transformation, and we have just transformed into the new year from the Pisces dream into the Aries action, from the subconscious to the conscious, from the dream to the physical, right? And we are going forward in the dream. Very Pluto in, oh, I opened right to it. Very Pluto in Capricorn. The world is transforming. So transformation. Transformation is a true constant if we allow it. And that really includes personal transformations. Sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, I'm just stuck in this place in my life. It's like, well, you got to start here and be grounded and rise up through the waters and then touch the sky. And that's a process, right? And if you look at it as an interactive game, right? Instead of being afraid and trying to, there's a Bible parable or whatever where it's like, a rich guy gave, everyone $5, and one person was like, oh my God, I'm so afraid I don't want to do anything with this. I can't fuck this up. And he buries it. One guy puts it in the bank and one guy invests it, I guess, right? So the guy who invests it, he takes the risk with his individuality. He wants to play the game, five of wands rather, get his energy out there, Aries sun, and make power moves, moon and Scorpio. He doubles his profits. And the dude's like, good job. The guy who puts it in the bank gets a little interest on it. He's like, that's good, but it's still kind of a safe bet. You weren't as tenacious as you could have been with that. And the guy who hid the money and kind of kept it as such, hid it under his bed and it didn't increase in value and didn't invest it, didn't put the money, energy into the world to transform, to better his own situation. He didn't play the game, which is another Queen song. Play the game, play the game, play the game of love, but we're going to say of life. He was like, you're an idiot. You could have done better with that. So that's kind of the energy we're getting here, right? So transformation is a true constant if we allow it. We could change our future. Very Aquarius, very star card. You can change your future, and we learn from our past. So don't negate it. Don't forget it. Don't pretend it didn't happen. We should only try to transform ourselves and not someone else, as this is against free will. Do not judge others too quickly or harshly. Relax a little and rise. Right? Rise. Like an Aquarius star card. Rise. Relax. Like that's the best way to probably be in the sword fight. If you're all rigid and like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Like in the Gladiator, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not a master of my sword. Like you get chopped up into little pieces. But if you kind of like keep your wrist loose and you're like, all right, let's go. Let's parry or whatever. You're going to have a little more fun. And in a very kind of dark sense, Sun and Aries, Moon and Scorpio sense, people in like Japan and stuff would be like, oh, I'm gonna seek out death and honor today in battle. Like let's full tilt. 5 of wands. Let's go all the way with my energy and fight the good fight and be an individual. And I will die with honor on the battlefield. I'll go to Valhalla in the Nordic kind of tradition, right? So we want to be transforming ourselves fully through play, basically, right? Relax a little and rise. Mythos. The Welsh goddess Saradwin was a master potions maker and a queen of transformation. That is some moon in Scorpio, Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn and Aquarius shit. She's like, I'm the witch of Wales. She was often busy over a huge cauldron that contained great bubbling potions to heal, change, or create. And if you notice the waters of the Aquarius is rising from, that's also in the moon card. I think there's another card, the Queen of Cups possibly. I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But there's water down here, and that is the cauldron from which we bubble up and are created from, Saturn and Aquarius. To do this, though, took much time and expertise, Saturn and Aquarius, and the potion was complex and had to be boiled and stirred nonstop for a year and a day. Very specific. Should the potion grow cold or stodgy, it would fail. The potion was also very dangerous. Scorpio moon, right? It's like if you have a bite of this, you might die. Only the first 3 drops imbibed would work, and the rest would kill instantly. Death and death. 5 of wands. This is a game you play, but it's the game of death, and be careful because the blade is sharp. To help Saradwin, she found a young boy, Gwion, who had to stir and keep the fire burning when she could not. Very Venus and Mars conjunct, right? Men and women helping each other out for the team. On the last day of brewing, in the early morning, when Gwion was stirring the pot, the cauldron bubbled some 3 drops of the hot potion onto his thumb. Without thinking, very Aries, right? Very, whenever the sun is in Aries, whenever I use an example in giving astrology readings of Aries, it's Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane with his sword chopping off a dude's ear, right? It's like, there's no thought really. He's just like, ah, you know? So kind of careless, reckless action. Without thinking, he licked the potion from his thumb and instantly became wise. Scorpio moon. All of the wisdom meant for more for him flowed into Guion. Frightened at knowing that Saradwin would be angry, Guion ran away. But Saradwin saw what had happened and chased the boy. The potion made Guion magical, and he was able to transform into a hare, but Saradwin turned into a racing greyhound to catch him. Reaching the sea, Guion turned into a fish, but Saradwin transformed into a sea otter. Guion leapt up into the air and turned into a swallow, so Saradwin became a hunting hawk, and finally Guion turned himself into a single grain of corn, North Node of Taurus. It's like, oh my gosh, I'll be the smallest little bit of value I can find. And Saradwin transformed herself into a hen and ate him. Saradwin went home, but soon found she was pregnant. She just knew it had to be fathered by Guion, because that's how sex works. You eat a piece of corn and you're preggo. And decided that once born, she would kill the child. She should probably had 3 drops of that potion herself, wisen up a little. A boy child was born, but he was so fair of face she could not master the resolve to end his life. Instead, she sewed him into a leather bag and floated him off into the ocean. Scorpio moon, Aries sun. It's like this individual is going to be put out to sea, and hopefully they die or not, it's up to the gods. The child did not die, spoiler, for it was saved by sea otters that nursed the child upon their bellies and took him to shore. A human prince found the child and raised him in his royal household, and he became the famous poet Taliesin, North Node and Taurus. So that which was designed for, combat and all this kind of battle of the wits, like, I'll turn into this, oh no, I'll catch you, I'll turn into this, with the 5 of wands, he becomes this famous individual, poet, North Node and Taurus, star card, Taliesin. The animal. The first sea otter I ever saw, and this is Stacy DeMarco speaking first person, not myself. She's been on the podcast, check it out. Shout out to Stacy. The first sea otter I ever saw was happily breaking a crab open on his belly with a small stone just off the shore on the coast of the Eastern Pacific Ocean. That's how you know it's Australia, the Eastern Pacific Ocean. That would fuck with most North Americans' heads. Wow, that's really bright. That helped. But will it stay? Probably not. People on Instagram are not going to be able to see this. There we go. Well, nope. It's like the sun is exactly... There we go. Cool. Saturn and Aquarius. We could fix it. All right. So yeah, Eastern Pacific Ocean is not an North American kind of concept. He was in the part of the ocean that was calm. The sun was setting, and for all intents and purposes, he looked like a human being having a last swim before it got dark while enjoying the colors of a fiery sunset. Aries sun, I'm a human individual, moon and Scorpio, swimming in the water before it gets dark. Sea otters are mammals that live in close offshore habitats. Although they live in cold waters, they do not store much fat, staying warm with a thick pelt of fur that resists water. Their back feet are fully webbed to propel them through the water. Jupiter, conjunct Mercury, conjunct Neptune in Pisces, right? They are fit for the seas. They are one of only a few animals to use tools, Saturn and Aquarius. They lever rocks off the shoreline and use them to open shells of prey and to smash crabs to get at the meat. Some otters have a favorite rock, North Node and Taurus, they take with them and use over and over and over again. They quite delightfully carry their babies on their chests and bellies while floating face up in the water, and they link arms with the other sea otters for stability whilst sleeping. Very Mars and Venus conjunct in Aquarius. It's like the group will survive if our individuals link up and hold hands while we sleep. The magic, why we're all here. In almost every culture that has a mythos around otters, they are seen as highly magical. Very Scorpio moon, highly magical. Intelligent, Saturn and Aquarius, and certainly transformational creatures, Pluto and Capricorn. When you are doing magical workings to transform yourself from one state to another, from Pisces season to Aries season, from the last astrological year to this astrological year, Mercury in Pisces, when you're trying to mutate, basically, when you're doing this magic, workings to transform yourself from one state to another, their energy is welcome. Otter magic also encourages you to let go of your burdens and be lighter. It's called enlightenment, right? We rise like a sea otter floating on its back. Remember what it's like to float on your back, right? This is probably why I said that. Tense up and you sink. The more you relax, the higher you rise. And that's true of life, folks. So the more we take the game too seriously, we're like, oh my gosh, everything's out to get me. The less you're going to really believe in yourself, the less you're going to want to participate in play the game of life. But if you look at this, it is almost like a Ready Player One kind of situation. It's an RPG where you're learning skills and gaining assets and making networking friendships and stuff to progress through the game. The battle of life, Aries kind of sun energy, you're going to transform in a positive and profound way. And the Star card is all about transforming from what? The depths of sorrow, right? The Tower card was right before this, and Death card, all these kind of darker energies, heavier energies, and this is rising in the, the star in the evening at night, the hope rising from the darkness. So, symbology is otter bubbles, baby with otters, otters under the moon, very Scorpio moon energy. Status, due to extensive unsustainable hunting during a 200-year period, the sea otter population dropped to around 1,000 individuals, right? We were maybe playing the game of life too hard in the paint. And, God, these dogs. And, at least in Australia, they cut them down to 1,000. Very Scorpio moon. Killed a whole lot. Conservation has brought this up, and it's estimated to about 3,000, but they're still endangered, and since their range is now very small. So, North Node of Taurus, they're coming back a little, but like their individual lives, Star card is coming back. Pardon the dogs. Hopefully they can learn to not be guard dogs as much, but that's basically why they're here. We could be rooted, root chakra day, right? Muladhara chakra, and we don't have to fear. As individuals, as little sea otters who might be trying to get killed, we have to rise in our individuality, create tools, and love life. Even if we're being hunted, Five of Wands, even if we're finding our, like Gladiator, fighting for our lives, that is part of the dream, part of the transformation. And there's skill sets that they learned. This sounds odd, but it's like there's things that the otters learned, there's things that the gladiator learned that they would not have learned otherwise, and that is why they manifested those experiences. You're never a victim. We tend to be like, oh my God, I'm a victim. That's one of the things that cause us to be so fearful, right? Root chakra. Why do we get off base, off kilter? Because we think everything's out to get us. It just seems that way sometimes. It isn't the case. And we forget that we have to be here under these conditions. We go, oh my gosh, it's all happening to me. It's happening through you, right? You're a conduit. You're a star card, conduit of life experience. This is the Tao coming through you. I'm about to pull a hexagram, an I Ching hexagram. The Tao is the way. I actually just wrote a song about the Tao last night. So I'll probably post that at some point. But the way moves through us, and we are conduits of this experience, of this what? Transformation, of matter into consciousness, right? And it's a rough battlefield out here. There's, it's a battle of wits, survival of the fittest, red tooth and claw, right? Like that at a level is true. So the sea otters had to fight for their survival, and we almost killed them off, apparently. Not a good look, but at the same time, acceptable in that it happened. It's tricky because it's like, what do we say about things like holocausts and genocide and all these lower vibe things? It's like, well, it exists, so denying it's not going to work. It's a yin-yang. Like, darkness exists, and there's a little redemption in it, and everything is awesome, but it could be better. Dark little dot in it. It is what it is, and we have to, like, learn the lesson, and as soon as we learn the lesson, we rise out of those waters, out of those lessons, into new domains. Star card, Aquarius energy, right? So we have this ability to transcend our situation and be conduits for reality, in spite of the fact that it's a high-stakes game, life and death game, Five of Wands, right? Feeling like you're in a battle of wits for your life. Like, that is how it feels out here. And we have to remember, it's not actually a struggle. It's just a journey of transformation. So, the hexagram I've pulled, and look, here's all this, like, the crazy chaos around you, and you have to create, this is around you no matter what, but you have to enforce it through your root chakra, through centeredness, through kind of clearing energies, whatever. Know thyself. Holler for a reading. I can help you know thyself. But we have to be the Buddha at the base of the tree when all the demons are coming and stuff. We have to be Jesus saying peace to the stormy waters, right? To the calming the sea, which is very symbolic of, like, taming the unknown, Scorpio moon, taming the things of death, because nature in the Bible at that point, they didn't understand science really, so they were like, the oceans and nature, that's the unfathomable ultimate. So this is 33, the unfathomable ultimate degree of Freemasonry. So we've had a Master Mason, Freemason on the podcast. That was interesting. He's also a DJ, so that was a good episode. So 33, hexagram, retreat, right? Like Gwion was having to retreat constantly from Saradwin in his transformational journey. Sometimes part of the parrying is to learn when to step back. If you watch fencers, they're like on guard, and then it's like back and forth. Like sometimes stepping back and knowing your individual power, retreating in a sense into your safe place to gather your strength, root chakra, is the name of the game. So that's why Obi-Wan and Yoda disappear and go to their little hermitages on various planets when the Jedi are wiped out potentially or essentially by the Sith, and the Anakin turned Darth Vader now. They have to retreat. It's not always a bad thing. Like it's typically like, oh my gosh, retreat means surrender or ultimate. It's like, nope. Sometimes you just have to gather your forces, which it says. It isn't your fault if forces repressing the good increase in influence, right? It isn't your fault if Saradwin keeps chasing you. It isn't your fault if you get captured on the battlefield and thrown into a gladiatorial pit and called Spaniard and you have to fight for your life. This is a natural cycle for all of life, right? Retreat, like you got to hibernate for the winter kind of thing. Orderly retreat is now a sign of the strong. It's not a sign of the weak. In such a situation, retreat is not a flight, but rather a temporary renunciation in order to make better progress after a creative pause. You can prepare for the upswing in small ways now. Avoid harsh feelings. Moon and Scorpio and Sun and Aries, we can have very kind of like, I gotta go, and if I don't do it, I'm a loser, and anybody who's getting in my way, I'll cut them down. It's like, we don't want to be harsh like that right now. Avoid harsh feelings, impatience, very Aries Sun, impatient, like I said, Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane chopping off a dude's ear. Jesus at the end was like, hey, picks up the ear, puts it back on. He's like, no one, who told you to do that, Peter? Put your gun back in the holster. What the fuck? So avoiding these harsh feelings, these impatience, and acting out of your frustration on others. We can't just like lash out. And that's the shadow of the Moon in Scorpio, Sun and Aries, where it's just like self-oriented selfishness in a way, Aries, kind of basic self-awareness, and then emotional kind of revenge and like victimization. We can't do that right now. These are the shadows of the energy that are there. And with Jupiter conjunct Mercury and Neptune in Pisces, we're learning what our boundaries are and how not to be taken advantage of. If you give in to negative emotions, you are also fostering negative energy. That's the whole point of Darth Vader's fall. He, out of fear, he wasn't feeling secure, right? He was like, oh my God, I don't want to lose my wife. Fear, Moon and Scorpio. He's like, she'll die. What can I do to prevent this? And he goes and does black magic, basically, to gain the power he thinks he needs to overcome death. And he does overcome death in a strange way, right? He transforms into the dark side, into a Sith. Darth Vader, that's the birth of the Dark Father. Darth Vader means Dark Father in German. So we are all transforming. Aquarius card, and it's like, how are you doing this? If you run into the world with anger and frustration and off kilter, you're going to probably feed more demons than not. Just realize. So such inner conflicts reveal a disharmony between ideals and reality. Remain calm and confident as it is a passing phase. I almost want to play a song. I do have my guitar here, but I haven't set it up to do that right now. I was going to play A Passing Feeling by Elliott Smith, which I've played a few times before, which is ironically about it. He's like, everything, I hear the blast of the echo of the gun shells. It just blew off my head, and now I'm waiting for death. It's a very kind of morbid song, but a good song. So know that the frustrations that you feel, the impatience that you feel, the fears that you might feel, it's gonna pass, and it's a test to see how you get into your root chakra. How do you zone into your individual strength and power? How are you a conduit for all things, good and evil, right? And you don't want to let the bad wolf in you, whatever the dark wolf, the dark side in you overcome you, right? You don't want the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune of life, Five of Wands is the clarifier, all this kind of tension and confusion on the battlefield transform you into something you don't prefer to be. We're always transforming. We're always rising from the darkness into larger and larger scales of awareness, right? Carl Jung was like, there's what we know, a circle, and there's the outside of that circle is what we don't know, the subconscious, the unconscious, the collective unconscious, all that stuff, right? But there's the self we know, and the further we expand, the more we go into that dark forest, and then that forest becomes known terrain, but then that means the map, with the here lay be dragons, and all the, the winds, and all these like things on the maps of ancient days, those domains increase as well. So the bigger we get, the more there is to it. In a sense, the bigger we get, it doesn't mean we fill. It's not, the egg. The circle isn't set circumference or a diameter rather, or whatever it is. The circle is like it expands with us. So if you're like a Padawan and you're only aware of now your ABCs and there's a force, oh my gosh, good and dark, your awareness of is commensurate to your unawareness, and it's equal. And as they expand and as Anakin becomes aware of the dark force, there's things he's not aware of. I think you see what I'm saying, but I'm kind of talking over myself. There's always going to be mystery. There's always going to be transformation. It never ends. This is the song that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started singing it at the beginning of creation, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it, rising through the darkness forever, just because this is the song of transformation. This is the game of life with polarities engaged in battle, and we have to find our safe zones for recuperation at times. So here's the stone. This is some Jupiter, Neptune, Mercury conjuncted Pisces looking shit. Some Saturn and Aquarius, some funky structure, right? You can quantumly entangle with this. You don't have to own it, but here it is. It looks like chewed up bubblegum or a funky asteroid or something. It's called magnesite. What it is, heady. Aries rules the head, and that's where the sun is right now. Heady magnesite is a magnesium carbonate crystal that ranges in color from clear to porcelain, white to off pink to sepia toned. So it's very diverse in its individuality, very Aquarian. Star card. It's sometimes grooved, brain-like in appearance, and mimics its cerebral energy. Who needs it? Intellectuals, Aquarians. Guys, you can't make this up. This is why I love pulling cards. Hit me up for readings. This is the Aquarius card we got for the day, right? This is for Aquarians. So the energy of the day is being addressed with this stone. Is the best way to put it. Where to put it? Wherever you go to quiet the mind or wake the fuck up, right? That is this retreat place. Where's your safe place? Where are you going to wake the fuck up, or gather your strength in the storm, right? Jesus is on the boat, there's a storm, and he's taking a nap. He's gathering his strength. When to use it? When you're just too smart for your own good. Saturn and Aquarius, problems. Venus conjunct Mars in Aquarius, problems. When you're all head and no heart, and you're just cocky about it. Aries, sun. When you're completely lost in your thoughts, or they're running wild, dragging you behind them. Very 5 of Wands, Scorpio moon energy. Remember, the mind is a powerful thing. You rule it, or it rules you. Meditate every day and show it who's boss with magnesite, right? Every day we need to find these sacred places and retreat. Having a silent retreat, extended silent retreats and periods of life where you're doing yoga in the Himalayas or whatever, that's cool. We need to create these little zones of impermeability, right? These zone, it's like crack at his pots in his laboratory. We need to create these safety zones for our genius to expand, and sometimes that means getting out of the fray, the 5 of Wands. Sometimes it means taking a breather, not just being on the front line all the time. Though guess what, folks, you're always on the front line of consciousness, no matter what the polarity or energy of it is. So get your mind right. With the sun in Aries, we're trying to take action. With the moon in Scorpio, we're really transforming our emotions. And what are we trying to transform? How we are in the world, right? Root chakra stuff. We're starting at the base of the spine and working all the way up. We're starting in the waters down here and rising, just like the evolutionary scale. We're starting as tadpoles and becoming butterflies, right? Apes to angels. But that means we have to have sacred space, sacred breath. Like you don't just always go, inhale, like there's a pause, and then you exhale, and then you pause and inhale. Like there's a cycle to that whole being, conduit of being. We need to know where get our heads right, basically. Know where our happy place is. And Happy Gomorrah is like, find your happy place, Happy. Where the ball wants to be in the hole. He's like, get in the hole. You just want very Aries energy. Don't you want to go home? Don't you want to get your happy place? Well, we can all create this happy place every day, getting away from the fray of life, finding our individual recharging. This is almost like what are they called? A Tesla, the cars, where it's like you have to find your charge station, right? In order to drive all these miles and have this automated car and do all this crazy shit, you have to plug into the source for electricity. You have to recharge, retreat in a sense, right? From what? The road, the weather, all this stuff, the battery loss. That's how you transform your journey. Ultimately, by getting your mind right, getting on top of things. And the way to get your mind right originally is to get into your breath, right? Like it's up here. You'll get there eventually. You have to get in your body, get in your breath, get rooted. That's kind of the name of the game. So I hope you guys dig what I'm saying. Drop it like it's hot. If you do like it, like, subscribe, tag some people that you might think would enjoy this as well. Dare I say, share it. We're out here to shine like diamonds. We're individuals, but everybody, even Napoleon had an exile, right? It's like you can't just war forever and try to take over everybody. Even Hitler had to sit in his bunker. These are weird examples, but even Yoda had to hide out on on Dagobah, right? So find your happy place in order for transformation to occur, i.e. get your mind right. Because maybe we're feeling like victims. Maybe we're feeling like we have all these bullets but no gun. Maybe we're feeling like, what do I do? What do I do? I know there's, especially now that we're in the spring season, spring equinox, we're going to be feeling like we have to pull the trigger and make moves, and powerful moves, emotionally transformative powerful moves for the moon in Scorpio. And with the North Node of Taurus, we're like, why am I here? What is my value? What's my legacy? What are the things that I bring into this world? Where's my harvest? How do I get to a harvest? Well, one step in front of the other, my friends. You rise through the darkness and move towards hope. From ignorance to awareness. That's the journey, right? That has stages, just like in a race car. I don't watch NASCAR, but they have pit stops. You need a pit stop to function, to refuel, to get your gears just fixed right and stuff. The Five of Wands. It's a crazy battlefield out here as the clarifier, right? It's war season in a sense. Even war is on the news and trying to tell you, oh my gosh, you're not safe. You're transforming. Even national geopolitics is a manifestation of the inner in the outer. So try to make peace with yourself and do your part, and the world will be a more peaceful place. Get your mind right with magnesite, and the best way to do that on a root chakra day is to get embodied. Sit in your lotus position, and Om, in this sense, would be lambing, L-A-M, lamb, lam, in the key of C, and get it right, get centered. So, like I said, share, like, subscribe, whatever, comment. I love interacting with people, so feel free to say what thou wilt. And check out the Team Rabbit Hole podcast. We're at 272 episodes. We've got guests out till June now. We're going to have a Black Mirror episode soon. We've got Kaipacha returning this Wednesday. Kaipacha Lesher, one of my favorite astrologers. I can't think of everybody off the top of my head, but good folks coming on, interesting people, a lot of first-timers coming on. So check out the podcast. If you've enjoyed this, leave a tip. I always appreciate it. I feel like a minstrel being like, da-da-da-da-da, and there's the tune. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Toss a coin in. Holler for readings. $33 for an hour of cards like this for you personally. $88 for 3 hours of astrology. $111 for both. 5-star reviews only. Wowie zowie. Not many things can claim that. So holler for readings. Check out the podcast. And ultimately, guys, know that you are exactly where you need to be. No mud, no lotus, right? So we have to be rising from the darkness, finding our reprieves, finding our deep breaths in the fray, knowing that it's all transforming us, and even knowing that gets our minds right. It kind of gives you another layer of protection and awareness in the battle of life. And how we apprehend things can engender how we experience things. So if you think of life as a battle, you might come into more conflicts. If you think of life as a puzzle, you might get more confounded mentally, etc., etc. So be aware of how you're perceiving things and try to tread well. Enjoy your moon day, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Adios. Bye.